What up, hustlers?
Australians are probably the nicest people other than Canadians. I'm from Canada, but
Other than Canadians,
every
just brought that
Australian,
in.
yeah, I'd say like just us, like our two countries are just absolutely probably the nicest people I've met. I've come across tons of Australians, and can't say enough good things about you
Is
guys.
that
It's
right?
just fascinating, very humble.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think we're just really laid back. I think that's just what it is.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, a
definitely.
close friend of
Well,
mine I met at university. He's from Canada, and yeah, really laid back, really chill guy. So it's great.
awesome. Well, you came back just recently from the Philippines, and I'm just curious what you learned from that trip and why you were there. And I think it would be exciting to hear about your journey into entrepreneurship and what you're learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we can get to how quickly you grew your group. I noticed less than a month ago you had under 100, so you've done well.
Yeah. Well,
My
thank you.
group's
Yeah,
about
a
two
lot
or
of
three
it.
weeks old. I'm about 150 people. I was like, oh, holy shit, Trevor's done heaps well.
It's I it's like this experimentation. I've been getting into like growth hacking and just connecting with as many people as possible, but it's almost been like a full-time job for me.
Yeah, I understand.
But
Like, even getting it to 150, I was like,
yeah,
oh, I've got so many things to do. This is just one extra thing on the list. But I guess that's part of the hustle.
exactly. Yes, oh, definitely. But it's lots of fun
Yeah,
regardless.
nice. Yeah, so basically, I went to the Philippines back in September. So my background story, I guess it's kind of the standard entrepreneur story where you're in the 9 to 5 and you decide you want to leave. But mine was a little bit different, where I've basically always had that spark since a child. So even as early as 8, I'd go to markets with my old man. He would buy things at an auction, and then we'd go to the markets and sell them there. So I guess at such an early stage or an early age, I was getting in that environment of basically learning arbitrages and basically getting that need to really do something more than just working behind a desk. So for the last 5 years, I've actually been a state level medical practice manager, which is predominantly in pharmaceutical sales. So a little bit different than the startup I'm venturing into. I've always had a background in a bit of WordPress development, things like that as well. So I basically went to the Philippines to learn more about outsourcing so I can start a new business in the first quarter of next year. So it was a fantastic trip. My old man now lives in Thailand. He's retired over there. So I went to visit him first for a week, and then I went to the Philippines the week after. And basically just was like a sponge. I just sucked up all this information as much as I could possibly get. And it was a really interesting trip. It was really good fun.
Excellent. What did you really learn about the Philippines? And if I'm looking at the Philippines as an outsourcing hub, I feel like they're leading the kind of the area in terms of virtual assistants. Like they really are hands-on, and they're fantastic people to work with that I've actually found in some of my experiences with them. I'm just wondering what kind of impressions you got when you were there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reason I went over there was because India really was the original precedent for outsourcing. But now that they've been so
Mm,
established, it's basically becoming a point where it's they're starting to jack up their price. Now, Trevor, I'm a bit echoey.
yeah.
I can put on headphones if that helps. Or does it sound okay?
Oh, okay. Yeah, this
All
sounds
right, we'll,
great,
we'll leave it
but
as is then. All right. So, yeah, basically the Philippines, they're in the earlier stages. So they're still one of the largest outsourcing hubs in the world. But because India is that little bit further ahead, I thought, all right, I'll go to the Philippines so that way I can essentially get a similar service but at a cheaper rate. So going over there, it was great to see how established it is. Heading over to the business district, the vast differences in wealth were crazy. I made a vlog on my YouTube channel, and basically you could see the differences between some areas were literally dirt poor, and then other areas like the business district was just immaculate. It was, everyone was so friendly and nice. In the area I was staying, it was basically it was a beautiful hotel, and I was a little suspicious as to why it was so cheap. And turns out it's because it was in a bit of a dodgy area. But yeah, it was basically some bits right near where I was staying. There was one street where I actually didn't feel comfortable filming for my vlog because it was literally just a street of tents, and there was a naked baby standing in the middle of the road crying. I was like, yeah, this is dodgy. So I don't really want to whip out my iPhone and they'd be like, holy shit, like there's like a year's wage. But then you go to the business district.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the amount of wealth there from a lot of entrepreneurs that have actually come to the Philippines to establish their own businesses and have micro sourcing or outsourcing businesses is crazy. So I met a lot of CEOs while I was there, scheduled a lot of meetings and interviews just to learn more about outsourcing and how they can help me achieve my goals. And yeah, it was a beautiful place. Aside from a few pockets in certain areas, I would definitely recommend going there. I didn't get to see the islands, unfortunately, so I'll definitely have to go back and check those out. But yeah, for the trip there, it was more about learning to outsource through companies because I've always, whether it's been, say, side hustles whilst I was working full-time or previous businesses, I've always used VAs and outsourced staff, but it's always been freelancers through, say, Upwork or not necessarily Fiverr. Fiverr's good for one-off jobs, but yeah, Upwork, Online Jobs PH is probably my favorite go-to. So yeah, basically just I've always outsourced through freelancers. So I thought, all right, well, I really want to take to the next level and have an established company that's actually outsourcing, not properly, but I guess more secure, because when you're going to be dealing with clients' information, then you really want to make sure that when you do outsource, it's to a safe environment. Because when I've previously been outsourcing to freelancers, it's been for my own businesses and things like that. So it hasn't really mattered all that much. But with the new business I'll be launching next year, it'll be unlimited WordPress support for only $76 US a month, and that's no contract. So I'll be dealing with a lot of clients' information, a lot of clients' websites, their cPanel logins, things like that. So I really want to make sure that the information is secure and that I'm got the best interest for the clients, and at the same time I don't get sued.
Excellent. Oh, I checked out your launch page for it's the WordPressClub.com.
That's right.
And anyone can check that out. Awesome. What inspired you to start a WordPress type business? I mean, number one, it's the platform to choose if you're looking to build a website. So, I mean, that's definitely a given. But why, in your situation, did you decide to focus on WordPress?
Definitely. I mean, well, just exactly that. Like trying to niche down. At the same time, WordPress has almost 30% of the world's websites. So, I thought, well, if I'm going to niche down, how about niche down in a really big market? Yeah, I mean, the target audience obviously niche down again and again. It'll be, startup entrepreneurs, small and medium-sized business owners, things like that. But I really just wanted to be able to focus my efforts on such a large market. So if in the beginning I'm trying to find what markets are reacting better to the business, I've got that large enough area to work with. Whereas if I specifically, for instance, pick, say, personal trainers, for an old business I had, there was a website, a bit of a backstory. I basically made a website, all in all, it was about 40 grand's worth. Long story short, and if I can offer anyone any advice, validate your markets first. Because there was basically a lead generation type scenario in the US and in the UK, and they were killing it. Like, it was going really well. So I thought, well, Australia doesn't really have anything like that. So I'm going to mimic this in Australia, and I'm just going to throw heaps of money in it and let's just get it built and make it all nice and shiny instead of having a lean startup. And then the market didn't really react that well. So basically, yeah, lean startup. I figured, all right, I'll do something like WordPress support, very lean to start up with, something that's almost an immediate return, because if you're getting clients, then straight away you can offer, I can basically do a bit myself, and then once it scales, I can actually outsource to get staff to help with that. So then ultimately it'll be 24/7 support. But it's funny you say that, WordPress is the platform to have, because I actually opened up a Clickfunnels account last night for the first time with the new course that I'm launching about how to outsource virtual assistants and halve your working week by leveraging their time. I figured, well, instead of making a membership site on WordPress, I'll make a quick Clickfunnels one, just to get up and running. So I played around for about an hour last night, so that was interesting. I definitely preferred WordPress. But no, it was good to learn a new skill.
I'm seeing a lot of people hopping on with Clickfunnels. It's a very popular platform for affiliate marketing, and I'm just seeing it, just the popularity of it. But I'm just wondering, in your experience, why would somebody want to consider Clickfunnels versus WordPress or vice versa? Is it really that technical piece that you found that was kind of the roadblock?
Yeah, so I think that's really the biggest, I guess, selling point is that from a technical perspective, I can do it either way, but I really wanted to just learn because, there's a lot of courses being sold and everyone was saying, put it up on Clickfunnels and a few other platforms. So I thought, well, just because I'm always interested in learning new things, I figured I'll give it a bit of a go and have a look. So with Clickfunnels, it's really, there's a lot that they need to develop still. A lot of areas in regards to functionality and just user-friendly service isn't quite there yet, but it's still very easy to use, and it's someone from a zero technical background getting something up within, say, a few hours is fantastic to offer. So I think it's still a great platform, but there is a bit of work that needs to be done to it just to really get it so you can go from A to B to C, because I had to use a lot of YouTube videos to really understand certain areas because there was zero explanation as to what's a URL and then what's a secret URL. So I went on YouTube, had a look, and then I started to understand these processes.
Yeah. Well, I want to circle back because you mentioned the $40,000 investment in a website. And it stands out to me because when I was in corporate marketing, that was around what we were spending on a website. And you talk about validation, and I just think it's so critical as an entrepreneur to focus on not spending so much money up front, which is kind of what I like about what you're doing with WordPress there, because it's not an expensive thing up front. And I think that's really important for entrepreneurs, is to look at how can they get their idea out there without so much upfront investment. I think that's really critical.
Absolutely, for sure. Because basically, even with being, having a WordPress background, my business is WordPress development. So maccreation.net is my basically my creative site, and a lot of my business is actually just networking through groups. So I'll make a few grand a month, and that's with zero investment. So certainly I'll run Facebook ads, but for a lot of the business, or at least some of it, it is all referrals and just networking. So that's zero investment and getting, 1,000% return, or, 15, whatever it is. So it's, it's really important. Networking, I think, for entrepreneurs, especially in the startup phase, is so important just to really hit the ground running, because you never know, you might have someone that you network with, a few weeks ago or a month ago or something like that, or maybe, say, for instance, in this group as an example, and then they might see this and be like, oh, hey, that course on how to halve your working week sounds really interesting, so I'd like to learn more. Or it might be a case of you're trying to get something off the ground, and someone, thinks that might be of interest to them, and they think they can help you in one way or another. So I think networking is really such an important part. And now that I've left the 9 to 5 to work full time, I'm really starting to understand that. Whereas prior to that, it was more of a solo effort, whereas everything was done on my own. Really just, that $40,000 website, I really should have validated more. I certainly did market research, and the fact that there was one site doing it, but the customers were really unhappy and that it wasn't mobile friendly, and it just didn't work very well. So I thought, okay, well, here's an area to really penetrate that market. But speaking to 100 personal trainers isn't enough. So, if I'd probably say for every 10 grand, probably talk to at least 200-300 people, maybe more.
Yeah. Well, it's that validation. It's so critical. And you talk about networking, and I think maybe that's what a lot of entrepreneurs aren't doing, is they're kind of in a silo, and they're not getting out there to really test the idea. And I think that's pretty critical. Is that something you've kind of found out as an entrepreneur, that validation and really talking with people is so valuable?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think it's just and not only is it helpful for your business, but it's just fun to meet new people. Like, we've chatted a bit, but we've never spoken, like this. So it's fantastic to meet you, properly. So it's really great to just meet new people. And even if nothing comes at it from a business perspective, it's always great to make new friends and just see how everyone's going in different parts of the world, whether it is Canada or Australia or the US. So yeah, that's something that is really just important to me as well, to, just make friends from all over the world. It's when I went to the Philippines, the amount of contacts I made over there was fantastic. It was great. And a lot of people were saying, oh, you come back, let me know, and I'll show you around the islands and that sort of thing. So it was really nice to hear.
Nice. Now, are you big into travel? Like, have you traveled to quite a few different countries in your background there, or and what's your favorite place that you've been?
I have the itch. I love travel. For the last 5 years, having worked in such a high-end corporate scene, because this was, it was a really cushy job I had. It was a 6-figure management level position, state level. It was really something that people, if you get that position, if you're happy to work a 9 to 5, that's something you retire in. Like the turnover rate for employment there was almost nil. Like almost everyone that works there stays there. And when I started, I was 24, so I was the youngest practice manager for that company within the country. And they're actually, one of the largest medical practices within their niche in the Southern Hemisphere. So, it really was such a great role to be in. But I love travel, and I found it quite difficult to get away. So sometimes I managed to get away for work. For instance, I went to Singapore one year to train up a new staff member there to run the practice over there. There was another time I went to New Zealand to basically do the same thing, train up the manager over there so they can learn how to run their practice in New Zealand. But yeah, I certainly try to get away wherever I can. I certainly, love travel, and I love to see so much more of the world than I have. And that's really one of my goals of working basically not from home, but from where I am. So I can take my laptop and I can work. I won't necessarily live overseas because, I have a really supporting partner here and she's great. And, if she can come away with me here or there, that'd be fantastic. But I really would love to be able to, I guess, live that nomad lifestyle where I'm not tied down to having somewhere specific. And if I can outsource the WordPress club or outsource, not having to have a physical location, that would be awesome. But we'll see how things scale, because it might be beneficial for me with growth to set up an office and have staff here as well. So, it's more about learning over time as to what's going to happen and, the unknown, I guess. Opposed to the fear of the unknown, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, if I can travel more, I absolutely would love to. My favorite place to visit, that's a good question. It's hard to say, because there's been to, so many fantastic places, really interesting places. It really depends on, I guess, what you're looking for. Because, like Singapore was lovely. Like, I really liked it there. It was such a clean city. Everyone was so friendly. However, from the back end, it's almost secretly oppressed, where everyone is really managed by the government so closely. As an example, if you go to the casino, if you're a foreigner, you show your passport, it's free to go in. Great, you do what you do. If you're a local, it's $100 to go there, and they'll scan it, so it will say, if you have a gambling problem, you're not allowed in, which is a great idea. But at the same time, it's, well, what if you want to go there just for friends and have a few drinks and that sort of thing? Crime has been almost eradicated. There's like a 90-something% chance of getting caught if you do crime, because there's literally cameras everywhere, like every few meters, or every corner of every side street. So there's really good and bad for every country. So it's so hard to answer. That's probably going to be my hardest answered question today. Or what country is my favorite? But even not to sound biased, but even with Australia, I'm so lucky to be here. It's such a fantastic country. Melbourne's been voted the #1 livable city 5 years in a row. Adelaide's tied 5th with the Canadian city. So go, Trevor.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Adelaide's great. It's very low key. It's almost, for me, it's almost too slow, but it's so just relaxed as well. So Melbourne might be the next step, or moving overseas. If my target market ends up being predominantly the States, then who knows? I might move over there. I was actually born in the States, so I've got a passport from there. So it can happen
Nice.
to anybody.
Excellent. Whereabouts from the States
In California,
were
so
you?
in San Diego, but I was little, so hence the Australian accent.
Excellent. Well, San Diego's amazing, incredible, incredible place. You talk about moving from this six-figure career. It's secure, it's stable, and then you go into entrepreneurship. What kind of drove you to doing entrepreneurship, and what are you finding are the successes and challenges with this completely new area, which is entrepreneurship? I mean, it's fresh for you. It's kind of scary in a sense. And I just loved your perspective on it so
Yeah,
far.
I guess, I don't know, it was scary. I mean, from from a critical point of view, I agree that it does seem scary, and I guess the norm would be that it is scary to do, but I haven't found that at all. Like, I've always wanted to work for myself. Like, it's really been a dream of mine, and even from a young age, it's always what I wanted to do. And so there's been times where, when was I? I was, I think, early 20s, and I had a full-time job, and then I was also selling things on eBay, well before Alibaba was known. So it wasn't saturated. So, selling that. I also had a part-time job as well, so I was saving up as much as I can, so that way I left the full-time position. I started trying to work for myself, and it didn't work out, so, went back to the man. So I've always wanted to work for myself. So doing this, I never found it scary. I mean, I need to be smart about, or I needed to be, because when I first left, I dropped 10 grand in like a few months, just because I was like, yeah, cool, no worries, like plane tickets and eating out and sweet, like, and I hadn't had the income coming in yet, so that happened. I was like, oh shit, all right, I need to actually be a bit more smart with my money now that there's no income coming in. But no, it's all come along now. Like, with all the network I've been doing, I'm getting a business in for website design, and now that I've got this course coming out soon, I'm going to start running that on autopilot, so that should hopefully drive in a bit of business as well. So yeah, I never found it scary, but certainly caution needs to be applied. So I would absolutely recommend, if someone was going to jump in the deep end, two things: have savings and have a plan ahead of time. Because I was going to launch the WordPress club a few months ago, but then when I dropped that extra cash, I was like, all right, I need to settle down a little bit. So yeah, over these just next 2 months, I'll basically just earn a lot more back, and I'll basically get that back, and then I'm like, all right, now I can launch with what I originally planned to do.
Yeah, well, I think that's critical. Enough savings and the steps, kind of a rough idea of the steps, so that when you're going through, you'll be learning along the way, but also you've got kind of a structure. And have you come across other people that have maybe gone into the deep end without any kind of structure? And have you come across people that are maybe taking a step back, like, oh, I kind of went in too quickly?
Yeah, absolutely, and that happens, and I almost did the same thing, so I really had to limit myself and be like, all right, whoa, like, hold the reins up.
Yeah.
But yeah, very close friend of mine, he basically left full-time employment, he started his own business, and he was doing really well. His first year in net, he made 50 grand, so, it was really well, but didn't scale and didn't apply new strategies to get further business in. So from there, a few new competitors came on the scene within that first 12 months, and that really affected his business. So then he decided to start a different business that he basically has a support system, because if you're in an industry, whether it's, say, real estate agency or mortgage broking, things like that, if you go into a field like that, you basically have to pay someone to learn from them, so you're forced to have a mentor, and now he's doing quite well. So by basically being forced to pay for a mentor because of the industry he's in, I think that's really helped him learn what he needs to do. So really mentoring is something that's so important. So if someone is going to jump in the deep end, I think talking to someone that's done it before is going to be really important before jumping in the deep end. As I was saying before, where I've always trying to do things solo, it's only really now that I'm learning the importance of mentorship and things like that. So there's a few people that have reached out to me, and I've helped them out just here and there, just because they've been interested in learning what I did. And I really don't want to see someone fail. So, there's been times where I've had, hour phone calls here and there, and not charging or anything. It's more just, they've had a question and I've been interested in helping them. So it's been really great. I guess just coming back to the whole networking thing, where the more people the more support systems you have in place. So if you do jump in the deep end, it's not game over.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually important. The phone calls are just critical. And as an entrepreneur and somebody who's looking for success, I think helping people and helping them grow, there's something quite fulfilling about that. I know that's probably something I'm gonna start doing, is doing more of those 1 hour phone calls to just help people out. I think that's just something that's just so valuable, because I think both of us, we both want to see others succeed. And you talk about mentoring. I think that's so critical. And it's just fascinating that you come from that angle. And I think maybe it's your Australian blood, maybe it's Canadian blood, but I think we want to help you. We want to help people out, which I think is just, I think if you're looking at getting into entrepreneurship, that's the way to do it, is to look at helping people, solving problems,
Definitely.
stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. The more people you can help, then the more you're better off. I mean, not only from an emotional perspective, but just from business as well. So, the more people you can help, you pay your rent.
Exactly. Well, I think there's a lot of successful investors that have mentioned, like, if you can help with that, like 1 million people, and you can make $1 million, things like that, where you're focusing on helping, then it works out well. It's just a lot of people go for the quick sell, and by helping people first, that probably helps with the sales approach. What's the number one thing that you've kind of learned so far about entrepreneurship, and you're into it now? And I'm just curious, like, what's that number one thing that you've really learned?
Well, I guess just with the learning, it's been more. I've been watching the markets over the last few years, or not necessarily the markets, but I guess I've been watching the engagement levels on social media and seeing how they've been changing. So I guess it's not something I've learned in the last few months since leaving full-time employment, but it's more just something I've observed over the last few years, in that it really has shifted with, as you said, giving back and offering, just helping people just for free. And it's become a point now where, because the market's so saturated, the ads don't really work as well anymore. Certainly they do, from a Facebook paid ad perspective, but I mean, in regards to, say, back in the 60s and 70s, where it was a billboard, and that's all you needed, that and television. Whereas, I don't even have TV connected to my house. Like, I've got a TV and it's for video games and movies, but I don't actually have bothered to have connected the cord, the antenna. So, the way things have shifted and changed, where it really is now about offering as much free value as you can. And then by offering that free value, it then builds up, social proof. And then from there, that then almost gives you permission to then ask for something in return. Whereas prior to that, if there's no social value, then you ask for something, and it's almost like the 70s billboard, that it just has the can of soup. And it's like, well, I'm going to ignore that, because, how many cans of soup are there out there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a great approach. And I think you're headed in the right direction. You talked about the course that you're building. What kind of platform are you using to construct the course? I think there's a lot of people out there that are looking to build a course and provide knowledge, and just wondering if you could talk about that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we were chatting before, so I started a Clickfunnels account yesterday for the first time. So I did a bit of research. I didn't do a lot, because there are quite a few platforms out there, but I thought, well, Clickfunnels, it seems to be, all the rage at the moment. There's a lot of successful entrepreneurs that have courses and they sell them through Clickfunnels. And I figured, well, it's all about mimicking what others do, because, for instance, I've always tried to start innovative businesses. For instance, many years ago, unless the marketing was really bad and I wasn't aware of it, I may have been the very first person in Australia to offer a subscription-based protein membership. So you pick how much protein you want, pay the subscription, and it gets posted to you. And so, I always try to be innovative, but I guess, at the time, trying to be innovative with the marketing budget I had, it really didn't go that far. I've seen quite a few people offer it now, so I'm going to hold on to that hype first, which it might not have been the case, but we can always guess. But so I guess just something I've learned is really that to be innovative, you need a big budget. So opposed to reinventing the wheel, just following others' footsteps, whether it is through mentorship or through what you can see other people doing, it can still be such a lucrative way to live. So a lot of successful business owners I can see, especially in these large groups, they have ClickFunnels for their courses. So I figured, well, I'll do what they're doing. So I started the ClickFunnels course last night. I'm still trying to figure out how to link the URL. I did it yesterday and it didn't really work. So eventually it'll be rossmcfarlane.com. I basically made the platform there. And then with the videos, you've got to essentially upload it, whereas it's to YouTube or Vimeo or whatever, and then embed that into the ClickFunnels platform. It's not hard to do. They do make that part quite easy and simple, so that's fantastic. But I would recommend if anyone is going to be uploading a course to YouTube, make sure that you have it private. Otherwise, you're offering the course to everyone for free. And then if you're selling it for, say, like with my course, it's only $97, or if it's, say, a $300 course or $2,000 course, you don't really want to give that away for free on YouTube and then sell it at the same time, because I imagine a lot of your customers, if they come across your YouTube channel, might get a little upset. So I found having it on there is it's certainly a simple way to build a course if you don't know any technical knowledge. So I definitely would recommend having a bit of a look if it's something that your viewers they've got a course or they're thinking of making a course that they really want to get out there.
Perfect. I think it's a great platform to get started and using. You're into vlogging as well. How are you enjoying creating videos and creating your stories? Is that something that you are looking to grow and expand on down the road, or you're just kind of doing it as a fun hobby?
Yeah, it's more for fun, because I find that with entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you're the same way, that we really, it's almost like, I know over the years, it's almost like a learned ADHD perspective where we've got all these great ideas that we really want to put into practice. But one issue with that is that it then spreads us too thin. And I'm really guilty of that. So the YouTube platform for now is more a bit of fun, because yes, it'd be fantastic to have, 1 million subscribers. But if I'm trying to focus on that and Instagram and the WordPress club and courses and all these other different things and web design and my affiliate program for web design referrals, so it's if I've got too many things going on, it's really gonna limit my progress in every single field. So some fantastic advice I got once was, make sure you've got a business that's earning 10 grand a month, and then scale and then do the next thing and move on that way. So the YouTube for now is just a bit of fun, because I enjoy just getting behind the camera. I did yesterday on my group, the Entrepreneur Startup Club, I basically made a blooper reel for my course. And that was more just a bit of fun. It's obviously it's not going to be included in the course. And I had to beep out a few expletives. But it was just a bit of fun. I guess just from working from home or working on your own, it can get a bit, not lonely, but it can get a bit isolated. So, if you can have fun in any way that you can with your business, then it's a great thing to do. So the vlogging for me is just a bit of fun. I can make it and then I can watch it. And, even the bloopers yesterday, like I looked at it and I was like, oh God, I'm a dick sometimes, but it was funny to watch. So certainly it's something that I'd love to grow in the future, but for now it's really just a bit of free value. That's really just a bit of fun. My vlog for the YouTube, for the Thailand trip and the Philippine trips is up there as well. So, it's just something I can just share with others just for the sake of, sharing it.
Perfect. I think having fun and having that passion project, it helps. It helps every day to have those fun little hobbies. What else would you like to talk about? Anything that you want to share with the group here? Anything that you want to point to as you're working towards some of your projects here?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I guess just as we were talking about, with I have so many things going on, which is pretty standard. So I don't really want to just spam it with like every single thing I'm doing. But I guess really the main ones would be with the WordPress development. If any of your clients know anyone that has a client that needs websites made, up until Christmas, I'm offering a 50% referral commission on the sale price. After Christmas and into the new year, it will drop down to 35%, but I'll also be increasing my service rate. So it'll probably work out a similar rate for your group anyway. So yeah, if anyone knows a client that they work with or a friend or whoever, and they need a new business website, send me an email, CC them in, or make a Facebook chat. And if the sale goes through up until Christmas, I'll give them 50% of the sale price, not profit. So it's actually really profitable for the referral partners. So that's probably my main business at the moment. And then, with the course that's coming out soon. So I really wanted to have it up and running today for you. So I would say, yeah, it's good to go. So I guess we'll say it's in pre-sale mode. So at the moment, there's about an hour and a half worth of footage. But I don't feel that's enough to offer. So it's going to be about 2.5 to 3 hours. It's only going to be $97. So it's not about the money. It's more just about offering value. It's how to halve your working week by leveraging a virtual assistant. So in the course, I go through where to find a virtual assistant, depending on the industry you're in, what kind of VA should you need, whether it's a freelancer or one through a company. If you're an accountant, for instance, you really want to have somewhere you can have secure information protected. So, outsourcing through a company is going to be really good. Things as well, like how to pay them securely, how to actually set up systems so that way you can step away from your business and it's still running in case, you get sick or you want to go on holiday. So yeah, that's probably going to be a really interesting course to come out. I couldn't really find anything like that. I found a lot of, how to use a VA and that sort of thing, but I really have put emphasis on how to leverage your time better so you can step away from your business and have it automated. Because, for instance, with the business that a few years ago, the friend I was mentioning before that, stepped away and made 50K in his first year, basically I started helping him near the end of that because with all these new competitors that came out, then, it really was all hands on deck. So I came in to help him out as much as I could. With the limited budget he had, then, we really couldn't move it or scale it as much as we wanted to. But, in a roundabout, because I'm kind of, drifting off a bit there, but my point was that he had automated systems in place. So he had a virtual assistant that basically could set up approvals, because what the business was it was on a real estate platform, and we were selling back-end access to the platform, because if you want to sell your house, you either have to be a real estate agent or you have to have a real estate agent's license. So if you went straight to a real estate agent and said, I want you to sell my house, but I don't want you to sell my house, I just want to use your numbers so I can sell it myself, you're looking at $1,000+. Whereas with the backdoor access, we were doing it in some cases anywhere from 100 to 500, depending on the service. And there was basically people would enter in all their details, hit submit. We would then need to manually approve it for it to then be uploaded to the real estate platform. We couldn't have it automated digitally, because if they hit submit and they had any images that had their mobile number in it, that was against the terms and conditions. We didn't want to lose our position there, or if someone uploaded a dick pic or something like that. So yeah, we really had to have a manual component to it, but obviously we wanted to focus on business development. So by using a virtual assistant, we trained them on how to do that and what to look for, so then they could do it. So then it's still automated from our end, but it's still got a human component at the same time. So that's really the kind of emphasis I'm putting on within the course, on how to keep the human component, but still automate your business or semi-automate it.
Perfect. Well, that's exciting. I think everyone should definitely check that out, and we'll include all the links in the comments here, and then people can definitely check that out and get some of the deals that you're providing here, which is just fantastic. And we'll have to do another video where we see how things are going with your WordPress club, and then also with the course.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see how it all progresses for
No, I
you.
really
Yeah.
appreciate that. Because, yeah, with the course, because it is still in the pre-sale phase, at the moment, as I was saying, there's about an hour and a half worth of footage. So if anyone does purchase it over the next few weeks, it'll only be 97. And then if they have any questions they want answered, email me or call me, and I'll then answer those as questions and include them in the course. So, being in the pre-sale phase, it's still in that area or that stage where I'm really still learning from everyone as to what they want in a course. So I guess that's a unique thing I can offer. Whereas if someone gets in early now, they'll still get content, but they'll get further content later on that I'll personally answer for them.
Perfect. Just one last comment. What would you say to somebody who's looking to get into entrepreneurship and they're just kind of on the fence? And, what kind of advice would you give to them?
I guess this is kind of harsh advice, but if they're on the fence, don't do it. Because it's a lifestyle. So, I mean, yes, do it. Like, it's great, to take the plunge. If you're unsure about things, I would more so recommend just learning as much as you can first to make sure that you're going to be making the right decision. Because if you jump in the deep end, but it's something that you weren't that interested in, you're not going to be willing to work 70 hours a week, 80 hours a week. Like, I read a stat somewhere that the most successful people work, I think it was 72 hours a week. On average, but it was just a random arbitrary stat that I read, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So, if you're comfortable working 40 hours a week and you've got a stable income, then I think you're better off doing that. Whereas if you're willing to work 70 hours a week for half the money, but you enjoy doing it, then go for it. So really, if you're on the fence, make sure that you're no longer on the fence before you do it. And that may be just getting your toe wet. So maybe still keeping your full-time job, but selling things on eBay or Amazon. Maybe start drop shipping through Shopify and AliExpress. That's probably a really good way to ease into it, because that's a really low startup. Shopify, was it like $100 a month or something? So, it's not that much. And then with AliExpress,
Oh, I think we lost them here. Just gonna see if I can get him back on.
hey Trevor, sorry about that. I had a phone call. This happened yesterday. Well, I turned off my phone
Oh no.
notifications, so it shouldn't have called, but it did anyway. So sorry about that.
Oh no,
I
that's
would have liked
okay.
this to have been a complete free-flowing event, but because in my
Oh,
blooper reel
that.
I did for the course, in there I kept getting a phone call for the same one. I was getting so frustrated. I was just like, oh.
Wow, that's the first time that's happened on my end, but hey, that's okay.
Yeah,
These
this
things
this thing
happen.
rings all the time. It's almost annoying.
I almost need like a separate phone just for the
I
calls and
know,
then
like,
live broadcast.
yeah. So
No.
that's my advice then. If you're on the fence about doing it, buy a second phone.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and we'll definitely keep in touch. I'm excited to see what you're going to accomplish down the road here. So
No, thank you very
definitely let's
much.
let's keep in touch.
I really appreciate your time,
Awesome.
and yeah, next time we chat, we'll have to go over how you got so many in your group. I read your blog, which was fantastic. That's in this group, just
Oh, yeah.
a few links down. So great read. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
But yeah, I'd love to keep
Well,
in touch, and
it's
yeah, we'll chat again soon, and then hear more about what you're doing, because I guess it's all been about me. So I'd love to hear more about what you're doing.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Well, it's great talking with you, Ross, and I think your story is fascinating. So I'm glad that we could share that with everyone today.